We know that we can turn to science to explain what happens in the natural world. Our own experience tells us that we have free will, that our choices are real. We can't believe in someone or something that we're told is both all-powerful and all-good. Because when we look around the world, when we look at our own lives, it's very clear that there's a whole lot of not good there. So either God is irrelevant, or not so good, or just not very plausible. So we fold up the menu and push back from the table. God doesn't exist, and religion is either obsolete or a force for bad. We take our spiritual hunger somewhere else, where a God belief isn't required. Meditation, perhaps, or a yoga class. Or we try to ignore our spiritual hunger by going shopping, or watching TV, or preoccupying ourselves with work or alcohol or sex. This book is my attempt to create a new menu, because I believe the hunger is real for most people, even those who say they have no interest in religion or God. I believe we all need spiritual practices to ground us, to make us stronger and more compassionate. I believe religious communities can be models for creating the kind of society we want to inhabit, communities where we can live values of justice and love, and teach our children to be good and caring people. I believe that all human beings need meaningful rituals to mark important life transitions, whether welcoming a child into our lives, beginning and ending intimate relationships, mourning the deaths of those we love, or preparing for our own deaths. And perhaps most importantly, I believe that we need to have language to talk about something that is greater than ourselves, and greater than the things that our consumer culture tells us are ultimate. We need to believe in something. And the fact is, we all do believe in something. So the question isn't really, should I believe? But rather, what do I believe in? What do I think has ultimate value? To whom and how am I connected beyond the tiny circle of my family? What are my responsibilities to myself, to the people around me, to my society, to the planet? And what is there beyond myself that supports and sustains those values, connections, and commitments? At a time when the human race is confronting the enormity of our destructive power in the context of climate change, we need to reject two myths. First, that a superhero God is going to magically appear and save us. And second, that human beings are so good and so powerful we can save ourselves. In between those two misconceptions is a deeper, urgent truth. There is something operating both within us and around us that, if understood and accessed properly, can help us foster the wisdom, compassion, and resilience to perhaps save ourselves and our planet. We need to know it by its many names, and learn from each of those names what is asked of us. This book is a step toward doing just that. Chapter 1. Metaphorically speaking. What metaphor is and why it's important. When I read books by people who believe in God, and by those who don't, I've noticed that they share one basic assumption: that when we're talking about God, we're referring to some kind of superpower entity, a someone or a something out there that exerts its influence over us. Theologians of all different stripes try to make sense of this entity, how it works, and how best to understand him, or sometimes her, them. Atheists and humanists reject the whole idea of God because they assert there is nothing out there beyond what can be explained by the natural sciences and human nature. The crux of the debate between God believers and God non-believers is whether there is any truth to God's existence. I'd like to suggest an entirely different way of thinking about the issue. What if, instead of arguing about whether or not God exists, or trying to come up with a definition of God that will finally convince everyone, we took a look at us? I invite you to accompany me into the realm of cognitive linguistics, the first step in creating our new menu of ways of thinking about and experiencing God. Based on the